Hello, 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 and welcome to Believe. That's BLEAV in lines right here on the Believe Network. As always, I'm your host at Javanaugh87, Jack Kavanaugh, but I am joined, as always, by the all pro safety for the Detroit Lions, who once led the league in interceptions. But not only that, he had some dominant performances against the Chicago Bears, who the Lions are facing this week. By my count, and I could be wrong, one sack, four interceptions in 5 games where he didn't allow a single reception. And most of the receptions he did allow were in the 4 to 6 yard range, and that doesn't count for a safety. Glover Quinn.
What's up? That's some
Justin,
dope stats.
it was. And they could be wrong. These are the PFF stats, so they could be a little bit misguided in the receptions allowed. They might give you some bad reps on some plays, but the interceptions, the sacks, and the not allowing receptions. Whoo! Glover, you dominated the Bears. You really owned them.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, when I came into the league, you know, I don't know what it was, but I told you how I felt about Lovey Smith, and Lovey was a coach for a little while, and I was able to make some plays on those guys. And Jay Cutler was my friend. He threw me a couple, and it just always felt good playing out there. Playing in Soldier Field. I love the history of the game, and so the play out there was cool. I think I caught 2 interceptions in Soldier Field, caught 2 interceptions in Ford Field. The second interception of my Detroit tenure was in Ford Field against the Chicago Bears. So it was good times, man. Going against Brandon Marshall, some of those other guys, Alshon Jeffrey. It was good times.
And you certainly made the good times even better by picking off Jay Cutler and whoever else they had back there. I imagine it was mostly Jay you were picking off.
Yeah, it was Jay, and then one year we played. So Jay was one, two, three of them was Jay, and then one of them was maybe Jimmy Clausen.
Okay.
In week 16, week 16 of the 2015-14 game when I led the league. I caught my seventh pick against Jimmy Clausen. I think that was Jimmy Clausen that game.
It was a pretty good time to be Glover Quinn against the Bears, is all we're saying.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. And hopefully the Lions have a good time against the Bears this weekend. This is, as you say over and over again, the Lions own the Bears, and we got to make it happen this weekend. Our last game, 31-30, we squeaked out the win, but this is a different Lions team than we had in week 10 even.
Right. And we went to Chicago, and it's always tougher to go into somebody's house. We're playing at home, and same way for us, that happened to us last week. It's getting towards the end of the season for Chicago, and they're in the holidays too. What I'm saying? Now they got to travel and this and that, and the Lions get to be at home. So maybe the Lions can show up ready to go on Sunday, New Year's Day, and the Bears will be a little, holiday hungover, and we can come out and put the pressure on those guys early, and run them out the building. But you're right, we own the Bears. Um, we just got to keep putting it to them.
And so when it comes to New Year's, because you predicted it, you predicted that the Lions were going to have that holiday slump ahead of Christmas, playing on Christmas Eve. Is that still not for the Lions because they're at home, but does it ever happen where that carries into New Year's, playing on New Year's Day?
Well, playing on New Year's Day isn't that bad because it's not really a lot to go on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve is really when most events go on. But the fact that you're playing, you're going to be in the hotel, you're going to be locked down. So, I mean, you're probably going to, if anything, you may just stay up till midnight to see the New Year come in. Otherwise, you're going to be tied up in your room. So that's the only kind of sucky thing about it is you don't even really get to enjoy or bring in the New Year with your family or your significant other, anything like that. But as far as the game, the Lions should be happy, motivated, New Year, energized. They should be ready to go come Sunday. The Bears, if anybody, would be probably having a hangover.
And I can dig that. I'm all right if that ends up being the case. Especially, you look at the stats from last game and you go through the box score on offense, and there's a couple notable names missing. There was no TJ Hawkinson because he had already been traded at that point. There was no DJ Chark because he was still injured. And there's no Josh Reynolds because he was also injured. And all the Lions did without three of their top playmakers prior to that was put up 31 points on the Chicago Bears defense. Jared Goff, 73% completion. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 119 yards receiving. Do you think it's going to be another day where Amon-Ra just gets fed? Because the wide receiver, too, Khalif Raymond, he had fewer than 50 yards on the day, only 3 receptions. Are we just looking at a game where, hey, Amon-Ra's open, or will the Bears kind of adjust, you think?
Well, I think it's going to be one of those games where, we have those weapons back now, and the line and the Bears lost, a major part of their defensive secondary and Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
They've traded, they traded a couple pieces. So I think it'd be, if they come out and approach the game the right way, I think it'd be, a good offensive game for the Lions. I think Jared Goff should be able to carve those guys up like a Thanksgiving turkey. If they just execute, Amon-Ra St. Brown should be open for the majority of the game. Adding DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds back, getting a more healthier DeAndre Swift back. I think those guys should be able to, do what they want to do offensively. They just can't make mistakes, have mental errors, drop passes, bad throws, lack of protection in the pass game to allow them to get sacks and get some momentum. If they don't do those things and they come out and execute how they should, how they can, then I think they can put up another 30 bag on those guys, possibly even 40.
They've got the talent, and the Bears are weak enough on defense that I could absolutely see it happening. We just can't have any more fumbled snaps. We can't wear that. We can't turn the ball over, those little mistakes. But I agree. And looking back at the box score, it kind of, and this, it's not all about the box score. I watched this game, so I remember what happened too. But you look at it, and your memory's refreshed. Oh yeah, it's not that they didn't have success doing other stuff. It's just Amon-Ra St. Brown was open every play. The second leading receiver caught all 3 of his targets. They didn't need more from him. Jamal Williams had a touchdown. DeAndre Swift only 12 yards, but 6 carries, a reception, only 12 yards, and a touchdown. So they didn't need much outside of Amon-Ra and the running game to get things going. And then they got up, grinded the clock out with Jamal Williams. So I think this one could be an explosive one where instead of just, well, they can't stop us here, they can't stop us anywhere.
Right. And like I say, it boils down to the maturity of your team. Do you take that game from last time and come into the game like a days ago, not prepared, thinking that you're just going to come out and run over those guys? These are NFL football players. And that's what we did to them last game. They're going to come back and want to get a win. They're a division team. Alan Williams is their D coordinator. He was a coach in Detroit. He's going to have his guys ready and want to come back and play well and get a win. So they can't come into this game thinking that it's going to be easy, thinking that they're just going to walk over the Chicago Bears. This is the NFL. You have to go out and impose your will on a team and make them lay down. And if you do that, then it'll be that way. But if you just come in and assuming that they're just not going to show up, you're going to be wrong.
And I think after the last week's performance against the Carolina Panthers, they have learned, at least I hope they've learned, well, we can't just write a team off just because we should win.
Right. Can't do that. You got to go out and make it happen.
Not in the NFL, where you are up against other professional athletes. That's something that often gets forgotten by the fans is, hey, yeah, this team is better on paper. Yeah, this team should win. But the Houston Texans are the worst team in the league, and they've been putting up some competitive matches against the Cowboys, the Chiefs, knocked off the Titans, probably eliminated the Titans from the playoffs at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Everybody got good players. Everybody got good players, and everybody, has an ability to win. It's just all about how you approach the game, how you play the game. And if a team shows up and you don't, you will lose. And, like you said, the Tennessee Titans, they're on the verge. If they don't win, the thing is they gotta beat Jacksonville next week. So you remember how we was talking about the flex schedule? The NFL could flex that one. Jacksonville versus Tennessee, because that's going to be a winner get in and a winner wins a division type of game. So they may get the Sunday night flex. The Lions may get the 425 flex if we win today or tomorrow on Sunday. But if it come down to us against the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, then we may get the flex because of Aaron Rodgers. So it just all depends.
It does, and that's something we're going to be watching intently as these scores roll in. I believe on Monday or Tuesday they announced the flex of it, but got to take care of business first. You can't start worrying about, well, what time are we going to play in week 18? What time are we going to play the Packers? What's at stake? You got to take care of business against the Chicago Bears, especially because Justin Fields put up a performance against them last time. 4 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 2 with his legs. He had 147 rushing, 167 passing. That's over 300 yards total from Justin Fields. But he also made some crucial mistakes. We raved about it. Aiden Hutchinson forcing that pick, dropping back into coverage right into, was it Jeff Okudah's hands, I believe?
Jeff Okudah, yep.
And also had a fumble in that game. So I think, yes, the Lions defense was exposed at points against Fields, but they made enough plays that I think that they should be confident heading into this matchup.
Right, I think they should be. I mean, I think they understand what Justin Fields is, what he's going to do. He's going to run the ball. He's going to make an explosive play running the ball. He's done it in every game. So you know that's going to happen. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to make a couple plays. But you got to be able to cover up his wide receivers. It's not like he's throwing to a bunch of Pro Bowl, all pro type of guys. So you got to be able to cover those guys up. And then you got to let him make those mistakes that he's making. You know, he's been having a phenomenal year, but like you say, those young mistakes show up every game. A fumble here, incomplete pass there, a sack there, an intercept. Something shows up every time, and that's why they haven't been able to win a lot of those close games that they've been in. So we got to let that trend continue. You know, understand, hey, man, he's going to run the ball. He's going to make a play every now and then. He's a talented runner. He's going to do that. But he's also still a young quarterback. And when he makes that mistake, we got to take advantage of it.
And it's almost the case of you never want to give up a 3rd and long or let Justin Fields convert on you on 3rd downs, but you have to realize it's going to happen at points in the game. It's not okay. We're not accepting it, but don't beat yourself up too much about it because you always have to live for the next play where he could make a mistake. He could be carrying that ball just a little bit too loosely. And so it's the bend, but don't break nature of this Detroit Lions defense that we really need to see, especially coming off that last game with all the rushing yards they allowed. 258 yards total on the ground last time they faced the Bears. Of course, almost 150 was from Justin Fields, but 94 rushing yards from the RBs and 17 rushing yards to the wide receivers. As a former defensive player, do you ever actually worry that much about the end arounds and the jet sweeps from teams like the Bears, or is it just something we know how to handle it? We'll run it once in practice.
But yeah, you handle that stuff. I mean, unless they doing jet sweeps and handoffs to some dynamic type of player.
Like Debo, right?
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. If they just doing one-offs, reverse here or there, like, you know, I mean, you defend that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Your rules should take up. If you're a man-to-man, then that's your man. Go with him and make the tackle. If you're in zone, then you're the outside defender, force the ball back, safety run the alley. And I mean, in the game, even if they pick up 12, 13 yards, whoop-de-doo, line up, play it again. It is what it is.
And a lot of time when you line up and play it again, the next time they run that jet motion, oh, it's a tackle for loss. So they got us once. That's what I figured it was, unless you're playing a Debo Samuel, a Curtis Samuel, a team where that's a staple of their offense, not just a wrinkle that the Bears like to throw in, but have to get it from the great mind that has experienced those types of situations.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, you play some teams where they're going to run that speed sweep, you know, 5 to 6 times a game. But like I said, that's built into their offense. They have a player that you definitely have to respect. Like when Jacksonville, you know, they use Jamal Agnew in that way, right? You have to respect him because he is a dynamic runner. He's a dynamic player that they're trying to get the ball to. And once they get it to him, he can do things with it. So you have to respect that from them. But the Bears, I don't know anybody they have as a wide receiver that you have to respect in that facet of the game. So I don't know if that's a huge staple of what they're trying to do.
Nope, not at all. Just 2 carries against the Lions to receivers. They'll usually mix in one a game, but that's not something you actually have to fear. It's just something that, hey, they're going to try this. Like teams will try a flea flicker. You don't button down to protect against the flea flicker. You just follow your rules, right?
Right. Yeah, just follow your rules. Let your eyes take you where you need to go. Your man will take you exactly where you need to go. Just play your rules, and you should take care of all that stuff.
Ignore the eye candy. Just go out, do your job, execute, make a play. Something that we saw from your former teammate for years now. JJ Watt has announced his retirement. He's got 2 final games left in him. Played his final home game for the Arizona Cardinals. Any thoughts on JJ Watt saying, "This is it. I'm done. I'm ready to retire"?
Man, that's an incredible decision, incredible career. I never have anything harsh to say about anybody who decides to retire, especially somebody that's put a lot into this game, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of, heartbreak, a lot of time, dealing with injuries and everything that he's been through on the field, off the field, everything he's accomplished. He's had an incredible career. I remember when we drafted him when I was in Houston back in 2011. And nobody in the building out as far as the players really knew who JJ Watt was. It's like, man, you guys drafted JJ Watt, number 11 overall. And I remember Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator now for the Arizona Cardinals. He was my DB coach, and he was like, "G, he gonna be the real deal." And he was. He was the real deal. So congrats to him on a great career. And now he gets to walk away from the game, enjoy his family, and enjoy life. It's so much life to be lived. And when you go and you put your energy, your effort, your time into this game, you know, and then you get to walk away and enjoy it. And so congrats to him. Congrats on a great career. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. And I'm just happy to say, that I played with him. I know him as a person. I know him as a friend. And great career.
Fantastic career. And it's always nice. It's not that it's a good thing when people get to retire when they're still at the top, because we obviously as fans we want to see more, but at the same time, on a personal level, it's a fantastic thing for JJ Watt to watch him and be like, "Hey man, if this guy really wanted to, he could keep playing. He is retiring on his own terms. He is going out on his own accord." And that's what really we all should be rooting for every single player in the NFL is, hey, you made it. You're still dominating. 9.5 sacks this season. He's going to get double digits. And he's coming off probably his 2 best games of the season. 3 sacks
Right.
against the Broncos. Completely, almost single-handedly won the game against the Buccaneers. So hats off to JJ Watt. And having played with him, I know you know firsthand how dominant he is. Just truly larger than life.
Yeah. And I mean, and the thing is, I was telling somebody last night, I was like, I love greatness in players. And I hate to see when they're not the same. Like I don't like seeing Tom Brady how he is right now.
No.
So I like for these guys to be great, dominate their time, and when their time is up, be able to walk away. Even though you still can play, don't run the gas hand all the way to empty, right? Even though you still can play, it's okay to walk away because you've done enough. You've done enough. You've created a legacy, like you are one of the greatest to ever play the game, and be remembered that way. Don't play 5 or 6 years of awful football or basketball trying to hang around, because these young kids, that's what they're going to remember. Oh man, Tom Brady was awful when I saw him. He was awful. You don't want that. Like I don't want to have those images of you in the like I want to be like, hey man, this guy right here was a monster. And that's what I want to have in my head. So glad that he is, healthy, feeling healthy towards the end of his career to where he can go out and dominate these games. He can, finish up these last 2 games healthy, dominating, and be able to walk away.
Did you ever get invited up to the cabin in the woods of Wisconsin that JJ worked out at? I know that was a later career thing that he started doing, so I don't know if that was while you were still in Texas or with the Texans.
Nah, I only had him his first 2 years. So I
Gotcha.
never got invited to the cabin.
I think that was a little bit well before he had the cabin established, when he was still flying under the radar, which is crazy to think about now. How You nailed it though. When he got drafted 11th overall, everyone, what's this kid from Wisconsin? What's happening here? There's all these other players we wanted. Nah. If you can go back and look, JJ Watt, you're probably taking him first, if not second overall. I don't even remember the rest of the draft class, but he's just special. And you want to talk about special athletes. I don't know if you've heard that Terrell Owens is looking to make a comeback at age 49.
I just don't get it. That's one of those things I don't get. Like, why can't you just walk away and be Terrell Owens? Like, why do you got to go back and try to prove? Like, I feel like that's one of those guys that, like me. I played, right? I played in the NFL. You can Google me, you can YouTube me, all those things. I don't feel like I have to prove to my nephews how athletic or how talented that I was. Like, hey man, this your time. I don't have to keep trying to prove that I was an athlete. I don't have to do that. Like, I'm living my life, bro. Like, I don't care if I can't run a 4.3 anymore or a 4.4. Like, I don't care, bro. That time my life is over with. You know what I'm saying? And this feels like this guy just can't let it go. Like, who cares, T.O.? You're 50, bro. Go enjoy being a 50-year-old, man. Like, you don't have to defy the odds and be like, oh, he came back and played at 49. You're going to go out there and get yourself hurt, man. Like, you're healthy, live a quality life, man, and go enjoy yourself, bro. That's tough.
It is. I when I saw that report come out that he's talking to Jerry Jones all the time, but then the interesting nugget comes out that the Cowboys probably aren't going to sign him, not because they're not interested, but because he's actually asking for too much money as a 49-year-old comeback story. So I'm starting to wonder if this is just to get his name back in the headlines and we won't actually see a return to the field. But wanted to get your thoughts on if Terrell Owens coming back, if Glover Quinn coming back.
I'm
Sounds
not
like a
coming
no.
back. I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. I'm happy. I'm fairly content in where I'm at right now.
Good. Glad. As much as we would love to see you back on the field, I think it's the best for your life, for your kids' life, for everyone that we keep you here in the booth and we get to talk about the game instead of sending you down there to bash heads with Dalvin Cook and the
Nah,
likes.
nah. Got no interest in doing that. My shoulders feel good. I wake up every day. I feel great. So I don't want to go out there and risk that.
Completely understand. Glad to hear. Glad to hear we're not making the Terrell Owens comeback for the Detroit Lions. As much fun as it would be. So before we get you out of here, a couple final thoughts. We got this weekend coming up. We got the Chicago Bears. We want the Seahawks to lose to the Jets. Geno Smith. Is this one actually a revenge game, Geno versus the Jets? Because it was a weird scenario, but this isn't the same team that was there. Rex Ryan's gone.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it's a revenge game that they're gonna hype up, but for Geno, he may still want to go back, not for the Jets organization, but just for the Jets fans. Right. He may want to go back and kind of play and stick it to those guys, for all the people that talked about him and, felt a certain way about him from a standpoint of a fan, a media. But like you said, the coaching staff is not there, the players aren't there. Like, you know, I mean, and the ownership may be some, what I'm saying? It may be those type of people where Geno may want to have a great game and do some things, but I don't think it'd be a revenge type of game that the NFL will hype up as Geno returning to the Jets. Like, no.
That's what I thought. But you got to check. You always got to check and follow the accuracy of these headlines, these narratives that the fans always want to make. But we're rooting for the Jets over the Seahawks because that helps the Lions in their playoff hunt. We're rooting for the Browns over the Commanders. So Glover, I want the final score for the Jets game versus the Seahawks, the Commanders versus the Browns, and Lions versus the Chicago Bears.
Wow, you're actually putting the pressure on today. Oh man. So what was the first game? The
Seahawks at Jets.
Seahawks at the Jets. So the Jets have been skidding lately, but they're getting their quarterback back. I think I saw that.
They are.
The Seahawks haven't been putting up as many points lately either. So I'm going to go the Jets squeak out a close game. 20-17 or 2017 Jets.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And then we've got Browns hosting the Washington Commanders, or I can't remember if it's a home game or not for the Commanders. It might be at home.
Um, you know, I've seen Carson Wentz is restarting.
He is. And it is in
So
Washington.
so I'm actually gonna go with the Browns. Deshaun Watson's getting more and more playing time more and more games, more and more reps. They got Nick Chubb in the run game. Defensively, they can dominate with Myles Garrett and those guys. So I'm gonna go Cleveland in this game. And the Commanders defense is fairly decent. But I'm gonna go Cleveland 17-10.
I love it. I absolutely love it because if the Commanders lose and the Seahawks lose and the Lions beat the Chicago Bears, that means we are in that 7 seed and life is good for the Detroit Lions. So Glover, Lions, Bears, final score.
Lions, Bears at home. I think the Lions come out ready to go. I think Dan Campbell hammers the message home of how they need to be ready to play and how big of this game is for them. They're at home. It's New Year's Day. I think they have one of those route type of games. I think the Lions win like 35-14.
Woo! Oh, yes. Lions win 35-14, set themselves up for the 7 seed in the NFC with a chance to head to the playoffs by beating the Green Bay Packers in week 18. Life could not be better for a Detroit Lions fan if this all shakes out. So Glover, any final thoughts, any takeaways, any pluggables to plug?
I really don't. Happy New Year, man. It's been a great 2022. I know it's been tough for some people, but that's every year. Some years are gonna be tough, some years are gonna be great for others. So you're still here, you're still living, man. Enjoy this time. Enjoy some good football. Have a great new year. And let's do it again in 2023.
Let's do it again in 2023. Thankful for all of you tuning in throughout the year and looking forward to chatting with all of you in 2023. Most importantly, though, I am looking forward to chatting with my friend Glover Quinn in 2023, getting all the takeaways for the Lions playoff run. But until then, if you're betting on the Lions, make sure you use our sponsor, betonline.ag. And until the Lions beat the Bears and we have something to talk about next week, we will see you next time.